What if the biggest star to ever grace the AGT stage didn't actually lose the competition, but was instead forced into a strategic disappearance that lasted nearly a decade? For years, the music industry has been haunted by the ghost of a performance that changed everything. In 2018, Courtney Hadwin was a name that launched a million headlines. She was the shy, stuttering 13-year-old from County Durham who transformed into a rock and roll hurricane the moment the music started. Simon Cowell didn't just give her a golden buzzer, he gave her the keys to the kingdom. But then the unthinkable happened. After a shocking loss in the finals that many still claim was a statistical impossibility, Courtney seemed to vanish. The viral videos remained, racking up hundreds of millions of views, but the girl behind them went silent. No major album, no global tour, and no follow-up to the hype that had positioned her as the next Janis Joplin. As we move into 2026, the investigation into her missing years has uncovered a story of corporate tug-of-war and a young artist fighting for her literal voice. The world assumed she was a one-hit wonder or a flash in the pan, but the truth is far more calculated. Industry insiders are now revealing that Courtney wasn't resting, she was resisting. She was caught in a cycle of development hell that would have broken a veteran performer, let alone a teenager. But as the calendar turned to 2026, a series of cryptic black and white photos and secret London show bookings signaled that the silence was finally over. The girl who disappeared is officially back, but she isn't the same person who left that stage in tears years ago. This is the story of a comeback that was never supposed to happen, and the secrets she's been keeping while the world was looking the other way. Behind the glitz of the golden buzzer lies a dark reality of image consultants and creative handcuffs that nearly silenced Courtney Hadwin forever. When Courtney signed her post-show deal, it was supposed to be the start of a legendary career. However, sources close to the production have since leaked that the transition from reality TV star to recording artist was a nightmare of epic proportions. The suits at the label didn't want the raw, gravelly rock and roll soul that made the world fall in love with her. Instead, they wanted to mold her into a polished pop princess, a product that could be easily sold to the top 40 charts. They reportedly tried to tone down her signature screams and choreograph her wild, erratic stage movements that had become her trademark. Courtney found herself in a position where her every move was being scrutinized by people who didn't understand the old soul within her. This led to a standoff that lasted years. Rather than releasing music she didn't believe in, Courtney allegedly chose to sit out her contract, essentially entering a self-imposed exile to protect her artistic integrity. This wasn't just a break. It was a battle. While fans were commenting on her failure to launch, Courtney was navigating the complex legalities of buying back her future. She refused to be a puppet, even if it meant the world would forget her name. It was a high-stakes gamble that few artists her age would ever have the courage to make. She watched as other contestants from her season released albums and faded away, while she stayed in the shadows, waiting for the exact moment when she could reclaim her masters and her identity. By the time 2026 rolled around, she had successfully navigated the legal minefield, emerging as a fully independent artist with no one to answer to but herself. The gag order was lifted, and the fire that the industry tried to extinguish was suddenly burning brighter than ever before. While the world wondered why she wasn't releasing music, Courtney was trapped in a personal situationship that nearly cost her everything. The narrative of a child star usually follows a predictable path of excess and public breakdown, but Courtney's struggles were far more private and arguably more painful. As she entered her late teens, the pressure of her missing career was compounded by a secret relationship that insiders describe as emotionally draining and toxic. This wasn't the kind of romance you see in teen movies. It was a cycle of dependency and creative stifling that left her doubting her own talent. Reports suggest that the individual involved was someone she trusted deeply, yet they used her vulnerability against her, making her feel that without the major labels and the big names, she was nothing. This personal conflict is the hidden thread that runs through her brand new 2026 material. Her latest songs are filled with references to breaking chains and escaping the spell, lyrics that fans are now realizing were literal cries for help. There was a period around 2024 where Courtney almost walked away from music entirely, feeling that the industry and her personal life had conspired to take the joy out of her gift. She was dealing with the heavy weight of expectations while her private life was in a state of collapse. It took a total distancing from her previous circle to find her footing again. This wasn't just a breakup, it was an awakening. The music we are hearing now in 2026 is the sound of a survivor. She's no longer singing about the ghosts of rock legends past, she's singing about her own survival. The pain of those hidden years has been distilled into a sound that is grittier, darker, and more authentic than anything we heard on the AGT stage. She's finally using her platform to speak on the issues that nearly broke her, proving that the greatest art often comes from the most difficult battles. They said she needed a label to survive, but in 2026, Courtney Hadwin is proving that the best way to win is to own the entire game. There is a common misconception that if you aren't on the radio, you aren't making money. Courtney Hadwin has spent the last 3 years shattering that myth. By the time she re-emerged in early 2026, she had quietly amassed a net worth estimated to be north of $3 million. How did she do it without a major label push? The answer lies in her brilliant pivot to digital ownership and strategic touring. While the mainstream media was focused on the next big thing, Courtney was building a direct-to-fan empire. She invested her early earnings into property, securing real estate in both the UK and Los Angeles, providing her with the financial money she needed to tell the labels no. She leveraged her massive social media following, which never actually left to fund her own recording sessions and high-end music videos. In 2026, she is no longer a contestant waiting for a judge's approval. She is a CEO. Her new tour, the Courtz, sold out in minutes across several European cities without a single dollar spent on traditional advertising. This is the new blueprint for success in the modern age. Courtney's independence has allowed her to keep a much larger percentage of her earnings compared to the predatory deals offered to reality TV stars in the past. She has effectively exposed the old industry model as being obsolete for a talent of her caliber. She isn't just a singer anymore, she's a brand. She has successfully navigated the transition from a viral moment to a long-term, sustainable career on her own terms. When you see her on stage now, you aren't just seeing a performer. You're seeing a woman who owns her music, her image, and her future. The girl who lost the AGT finale ended up with more power than the people who won, proving that sometimes the best path to the top is the one you build yourself. A single cryptic tweet from a top producer has set the internet on fire. Is Courtney Hadwin finally returning to the stage where it all began? As the 2026 season of America's Got Talent approaches, the speculation has reached a boiling point. For months, rumors have swirled that the producers are planning a redemption or all-stars season that would feature the most iconic acts in the show's history. And at the top of every fan's wish list is Courtney Hadwin. The evidence is mounting. Fans noticed that Simon Cowell recently reshared her original audition with the caption, "Still one of my favorites," a move he rarely makes for contestants from nearly a decade ago. Furthermore, eagle-eyed followers noted that Courtney's 2026 tour schedule has a very suspicious 2-week gap right when the AGT live shows are set to film in Los Angeles. Could this be the moment the world has been waiting for? An older, wiser, and more powerful Courtney Hadwin stepping back onto that stage to finish what she started. The narrative is almost too perfect for TV. However, there's a catch. Courtney has been very vocal about her distaste for manufactured moments and the restrictions of reality television. If she does return, it likely won't be as a contestant seeking a trophy. Rumors are circulating that she might appear as a special guest mentor or perform a show-stopping residency style set to promote her new independent album. This would be the ultimate power move, returning to the show not as a supplicant, but as an equal. The tension is palpable. If she steps back onto that stage, it will be the most watched moment in the show's recent history. It would be the final validation of her journey, a way to show the world that she didn't just survive the child star curse, she conquered it. Whether she takes the stage or not, the mere fact that her name is still the most talked about in the AGT universe speaks volumes about her lasting impact. In the end, Courtney Hadwin's story forces us to ask a difficult question. Is the goal to win a trophy, or is it to win your freedom? As we look at the trajectory of Courtney Hadwin's career leading into late 2026, the definition of success has to be completely rewritten. We live in a culture that is obsessed with the win, the title, the prize money, the immediate fame. But Courtney's journey suggests that those things can often be a trap. If she had won AGT back in 2018, she would have been locked into a specific type of career that likely would have burnt out years ago. By losing, she gained the most valuable asset an artist can have: time. She had the time to grow up away from the constant glare of the cameras. She had the time to figure out who she was when the music stopped. And most importantly, she had the time to realize that she didn't need anyone's permission to be a rock star. Today, she stands as a beacon for every young performer who has ever been told they are too much or not enough. Her story is a reminder that the path to greatness is rarely a straight line. It's full of detours, silences, and battles that no one else sees. As she prepares for the next chapter of her career, the world is finally seeing the real Courtney Hadwin, not the shy girl, and not the corporate product, but the independent powerhouse who fought for her right to scream. So, as we watch her take the stage in 2026, maybe the real question isn't whether she'll return to AGT. Maybe the real question is, does AGT even deserve her anymore? Courtney Hadwin didn't just make a comeback, she made a statement. And that statement is loud, clear, and absolutely unapologetic.